Hi YouTube, ACDodd here again, and welcome to another episode of On the Road Tuning with me, ACDodd, and this time it's part 2 of the IOW West Country mini adventure. So without further ado, let's dig in and see how we get on this time. So day 2 here at the Isle of Wight, and today we're doing pre-booked booking. So basically there's less cars, owners are paying a little bit more, but they get more of my time. So what we're doing here is we've got a 1983 classic mini. This one's got a Metro 1275 conversion. So we're going to get in here and see what we can find. So getting into this one, the only thing I've done is change the plugs. So we had a set of B6s, which is the recessed nose version of the 6 heat range. Don't really like these, so they've been in there a while as well. So I put a set of BP6s in. Turning our attention to the distributor, there's nothing wrong with any of that. The advance curve's good, the coil's all the right power. Leads are all good, so all I did was add 2 degrees of ignition advance and then turn my attention to the carburetor. So carburetor wise, it's already been rolling road tuned, so the actual fueling's not too bad at part throttle, but we do have a rather restrictive air filter. So we got one of these on it with no holes in it, so owner's given me permission to put some holes in it, make it like Swiss cheese and get some more air, so that's what we'll do. So yeah, this is an interesting car because this has already been tuned. I think it was Mr. Airy had already looked at this one, so it had been rolling road tuned in the past. And obviously looking at it, the only thing I found there was plugs, and I thought a little bit more timing was all that was needed. So yeah, in fine fettle actually, advance curve all good, etc, etc. So not every engine that comes in needs loads of work. So this was a good example of something that perhaps all I was going to do really here is just sort of put the cherry on the top of what had already been done. So let's dig in and see how I improve it. So I've just drilled this airbox, and I thought I'd take the opportunity to show what we're doing here. So this one's got a K&N element inside, which I thoroughly recommend on any mini, even a standard one. But as you can see, what you do is you drill the holes on the outside, okay? And you don't drill the holes all the way around, right? Now I've also, on this one, I've drilled holes on the very outer rim around the front as well, because it's a 1275 and it will need all the air it can get. So this will, you know, massively improve this airbox. So much so that actually this adds extra airflow over and above having an open air fill or a K&N on the back. So this is actually a real boon, and the reason for that is because it adds ram length, and that is there is an air path from the holes round to the air intake, which gives you a longer air path, and that gives you some chance of some inertial ramming. And what I mean by that is there's all air flowing in one direction, it all moves together. So when the piston's not moving, the air is still flowing into the engine. So that gives you an extremely mild boosted effect, and we're not talking like an extra PSI or anything, you know, it's fractions, okay? But the point is, it's noticeable and you can see it on the fueling. Okay, so you've probably seen me in the last few videos or so talk about drilling airboxes and stuff like that. Well, I'm just taking the chance here to explain what I'm doing, and also I also want to show you, which will come up in the next clip, about the massive difference that this makes. The important thing really is here, there is free performance to be had. So this engine would actually breathe better with the airbox on, rather than no airbox at all, and that's purely because of the inertial ramming we get by adding a little bit of ram length and drilling the airbox to obviously free up that initial airflow anyway. So the important thing to understand here is there will be a massive change to the fueling, which we'll now see. So got this one all dialed in, very interested in the end. With all this extra airflow, we were getting, well, it was extremely lean, okay? So basically, the needle itself wasn't too bad. I mean, it's been done by Airy Tuning a while ago, and the actual needle was very good. But what we've done, obviously drilling the airbox, we obviously put more air in, so a little bit of modification on the needle to get that to come into sync. But the real problem I had was getting enough air on getting enough fuel on acceleration. This engine was basically going to 1.3 lambda as soon as you open the throttle, so we had 20 weight oil in there. In the end, I had to go up to 60 weight oil and change to one of my hybrid dampers, but we got there in the end, so this one's all ready for a test drive. So we'll let the owner go in it, and I'm sure they're going to be much happier with that. Okay, so car tuned. You can hear it, you know, obviously picking up nicely there. Owner went out in it, very happy with the performance. But the important thing to understand here is that that drilling of the airbox made a huge difference to the fueling. So much so that even with the correct needle profile, when you open the throttle, she just leaned out. Huge gobs of air coming into the engine on acceleration. So I had to do a massive change to the damper to be able to get enough fuel out. And actually we was at the point where I couldn't get enough fuel out of the jet. So sometimes on these applications, you know, a bigger carb really would help to be able to get enough fuel out, especially in and around the torque bulge on the engine. And on these particular engines, this is a fairly standard sort of engine, and it wants to breathe well at low revs because of the camshaft timing is quite mild. So it wants, you know, wants to pull a lot of torque. Torque needs to be, to generate torque, you need air. And obviously you need the appropriate fuel with that air. So if it's demanding a lot of air and it needs a lot of fuel, and you're only using a 90 thou jet, sometimes this is problematic. So yeah, I was able to do it, but only just. So I was just inside what that carburetor was able to provide for this engine. So you know, it's well worth thinking if you have a 1275 engine, especially one that breathes well. Sometimes the HS4 can struggle a bit to actually supply the fuel that you actually need under all conditions. So you know, I thoroughly recommend really a 1 3/4 inch carb, either a HS6 or the more usual HI44 carb for these 1275 applications. So we've got a nice Riley Elf. And this one's been nicely rebuilt, and I looked at this engine last year, and unfortunately it was a bit of a 4-cylinder oil pump, so lots of work's been done since, and this one's is hopefully running much better. But it's here now because the owner's asked me to change the ignition for a high power 45D and an associated high power coil, so we're going to do that now. But just before I take it all out, I'm just going to check the system voltages to make sure that we're not running too much voltage, because we don't want to fry the new setup. So just looking at this one, obviously before we go into putting our ignition on, what we have got to do is make sure our control box is actually regulating the voltage properly. Now in this case we had about 15.3 volts, so I've just knocked it down to 14.9 at the most, just so we don't overpower the new high power ignition system. So obviously fitting high power, one of my high power ignitions into a car in the field, you know, we've got to make sure everything's right. And one of the things that you get a problem with dynamos is usually the voltage is too high. And in this particular case, yep, it was just that. So what I just showed there is obviously taking the control box for the dynamo and obviously just adjusting the voltage to keep the voltage at a sensible level, so we don't obviously overheat and cook the module that's in the new distributor. So if I hadn't have done that, then obviously I would have very likely detracted from the reliability that you get by fitting electronic ignition, purely because I'm adding extra heat and possibly overloading that new module. So got the engine back running again. So if we can see, we've got an ACDodd power spark, well, it's recurved by myself, high energy ignition, and yes, we are running a dynamo. We've got a 0.8 ohm coil. This is a negative earth car, so this is you know, makes it all possible. So we're now going to turn our attention to the carburetor and see where we are with the fueling. Ignition system's all fitted there. Obviously moving over to the new carb, you'll also see the owner's done a beautiful job here. Everything was rebuilt on this engine, so it's a brand new rebuilt carburetor as well, so you know, straight from Berlin Fuel Systems. Yeah, our attention is now looking at that carburetor and to make sure that the carb is actually working properly. Now, because this was a freshly rebuilt engine, he'd already taken, the owner had taken my advice, and he'd been running it lean. So this was running an AAU needle, which was very, very lean. Clearly he'd done his running in, the engine had responded well, you know, so it wasn't burning oil and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, he'd done a really good job. The important thing to understand with when you've got a new engine is, you know, don't run it rich. The fueling has to be under control, and many people damage their engine by running them too rich during the running in period. So this one had survived that because the owner had done it properly. So got there in the end on this one. As I say, we had the electronic ignition fitted, high power coil, and then we turned our attention to the carb. So this airbox has been drilled, right? So there's plenty of holes all the way around the periphery. This is a tuned 1100, so it's 1149cc, 60 thou over bore. It's got a 295 head on it with 1300 inlet valves. So yeah, it's quite a nice build. It's got a mild camshaft in it, and obviously S rockers, but she's on the money. So what we're going to do is send the owner out in it, but it's worth mentioning that we had to fit an AAF needle and some extensive modifications to get anywhere near the right fueling. This is a very, very healthy engine, demanding a lot of fuel. And also I had to mess around with the damper a little bit to get it exactly where we want. So she's got an 8114 damper in it, a little bit of extra lost motion, but yeah, she's good to go. Needless to say, the owner was very happy with the performance of that engine, so that was the first time he was able to experience the fruits of his labour on his tuned 1100 engine. So yeah, you know, obviously came back after his test drive, told me, you know, no flat spots, you know, good power, engine ran really well, so he was very happy with that. You know, the thing to understand here is there's a lot more going on to these engines than you first think. So we're just talking about you know, damper adjustments there, and I changed it for an 8114 with more lost motion. So that's basically adjusting the tipping because it was just a little bit rich just as you touch the accelerator. So we was able to take a little bit of fuel out to actually get that carburetor responding well, and then obviously adjust the oil on there to get us where we needed. Again, extensive needle modifications needed, but the whole point here is I'm going through this to show you that, you know, these cars don't run properly unless they are really dialed in, and obviously some of the modifications and some of the changes need to be done are, you know, quite extreme to actually get them to work properly with modern fuel and all the rest of it. So without further ado, let's go on to the last car. So last car of the weekend, we got a late model 998. This one's in with a stage 1 kit. So let's dive in and see what we find. So we got here with this one. So in the end, all this is the same except a set of plugs, set of leads. Points are all the same. I've just advanced the timing by about 3 degrees, that's all. Vacuum unit's all working. Turn our attention to the carburetor. So on this particular one, we drilled the airbox. And then it had an AAU needle, which was like massively lean. We also had a problem with the damper as well. It was going very lean. There was also insufficient lost motion, so it was going very rich just on tipping. So I've changed that to a 8114 damper, but fitted a HIF type top cap on it. So that's improved that. It's still not perfect, but it's definitely leaner. So in the end, we ended up with a AAE needle that was modified to get the fuel in somewhere near right, and we also had to go up to 60 weight oil in the dashpot to get anywhere near enough accelerator pump effect. And then obviously I had to modify the damper because it was an 8114 bottom half for a faster drop. So yeah, kind of a lot of work to get us where we are, but we'll send the owner out in it now. I think he's going to be very happy with that. One of the more extreme 998 stage 1 kit tunes that we had here, what I mean by that is there just needed to be so many tweaks. So, you know, needle need to be changed, dampers needed to be changed. Obviously a hybrid damper needed to be made there because an 8114 was never fitted to an HIF carb or an HIF top, as you can see there, ball bearing suction chamber. So I was able to, you know, swap the caps over to make it fit. And then obviously we had a problem with tipping, same as the previous car, so we had to adjust that. And then I had to thicken the oil up again in this particular one to get anywhere near enough fuel through on acceleration. So yeah, this was just you know, nowhere near right on just about every level. And yet it was running, you know, an off-the-shelf sort of stage 1 needle and all the associated normal parts, but none of it was working because each engine has to be dialed in. And I included this one in the video because it was just an extreme version of what you find, and they're not all the same, and this is what people don't understand. And even now people tell me, oh, what's this, and it should have this. No, it doesn't work like that. What it needs is what it needs to make it run properly, not what your friend's one has or your mate's one or the guy on the internet, whatever it is. You have to make the components on your car work with your engine to get the fuel in and the timing where you need, and that's a different set of modifications for every car. So with all that being said, as ever, please like, subscribe and share these videos. I am indebted to the West Country Minis for inviting me up there to be able to do the tuning at the Isle of Wight venue. I'm also indebted to Sandown Airport for letting me obviously do that on their showground. So yeah, without all these people arranging that, I couldn't do that, and I couldn't bring these services to the public and to the obviously club members that took advantage of my service that I was offering there. So please, you know, use these videos to sort of educate yourself as to what's needed. I include various cars so you can actually understand and start to get a picture that they're not all the same. All right, and this is the real message about these. And in a lot of cases, you're just not going to be able to do get the best out of your engine by just listening to what a mate says and what he's telling you to fit or what you're reading on the internet. The only way to do this is to measure what your engine needs and then make the appropriate adjustments to give it what your engine requires to make it perform properly. Anyway, please, I'll see you soon on the next one. Thank you very much.